Hi, I'm Kelly Rowlett Pressgrave. I'm president and CEO of Work With Your Hands, and we are so proud to be a sponsor of Power Women of the Trades podcast. You can reach us at workwithyourhands.com. Kelly at workwithyourhands.com is my email.
At Relentless Digital, we believe in breaking barriers and driving innovation. That's why we are extremely proud to sponsor the Power Women of the Trades podcast, supporting the voices and success of women in the home service industry. Together, we're creating a future where talent shines, regardless of gender, and diversity thrives. Join our journey at relentless-digital.com and always be relentless in your pursuit of excellence.
This episode of Power Women of the Trades is also brought to you by Forrest Perry of Forrest Perry Digital Marketing. Want to generate more leads for your service business? Trust his team to deliver quality new customer leads and protect your brand online. Check out perrymarketing.com today.
Hello everyone. We want to give a quick shout out to our amazing partner, Rilla, the game changer in the home service industry. Rilla's virtual ride-along software means no more physical ride-alongs. With Rilla, you can coach your team virtually 100 times faster and boost your close sale rates like never before. Don't miss out. Join the movement today and watch your sales soar. Visit rilla.com/PWT to learn more.
Welcome to Power Women of the Trades podcast. This show is all about breaking barriers and changing the game. Our guests will feature some of today's most successful female entrepreneurs and other advocates of our industry as well. Because if there's one thing we know for sure, female-led entrepreneurship drives change on multiple levels. We want to empower women in the trade industry like you so you can maximize your potential, stay balanced, achieve long-term success, and claim ownership over your life. Let's get started.
Welcome back to Power Women of the Trades podcast.
We are podcasting at the Women of HVACR in Dallas, Texas today.
I'm so excited. I say that in every podcast. I'm so excited.
We're so excited to get to know Crystal.
Yes, but I needed soft plug real quick.
Okay.
This conference has been great so far. I'm loving it. Anytime that I can wear cowboy boots and there is country music, can this be your theme every year?
Yeah, I know. And then people that are from Texas are like, I'm past it.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. I know. I'm in Oklahoma, so it's a big thing, but it was getting the outfits ready were so fun. Last night, having a themed reception, I think that's the first year the reception was themed, maybe as far as attire.
Yeah.
So fun. The country music, I was severely disappointed that I was the only one that did the boot scoot and freaking boogie. Did you see that?
Tonight.
And we're doing it.
Just wait till y'all see the dance floor tonight. I hope y'all are impressed with it.
I kept turning around, but I'm not disappointed. I'm literally not everyone I was talking to was from Texas or Oklahoma. So every time I turn around, I'm like, do you know the boot scoot and boogie? And they're like, no. I'm like, what is happening in this life right now?
They're above the Mason-Dixon line.
So we'll be doing some lessons later. Yeah. But the event is great. If you have never been to a Women in HVACR conference, you need to put that on your calendar for next year as soon as those dates announce. It just gets better year over year. And I have to say, not just the atmosphere, but for me, it gets better year over year because of the networking that I get to do in the family reunion that happens every year here. So anyways, and I say that for Crystal because she's part of the board for the conference and for the organization. So there is probably a lot in there that we unseen that we have no clue that you do behind the scenes. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, thank y'all so much. Well, it makes it worth it when everyone's here and having such a good time.
Yes.
We just sat back the other night. We were like, look at all the smiles, the hugs, the high fives, the I've missed you, and vendors getting to see their customers and customers getting to see their vendor partners that they talk to virtually all the time. So those in-person relationships are really important.
For sure. And I hope that you guys remember to enjoy it because we are guilty as women of being hostess with the mostest and almost ruining our experience in the name of making it great for someone else. Last night I was standing in the bar line and someone walked by me and I'm so sorry the bar line is so long. We have 15 bartenders here. I'm like, girl, you got the right girls here. We're just partying. We're fine.
And we're just chatting. Without someone pulling and needing our attention, needing money for gas, our kids, our team, everything.
Nobody's needing us. And so she wanted so badly, I could see in her how badly she wanted everyone to have a good experience. And I just thought we got to remind these people, these women who are giving their time to this event, remember to say thank you. And then, but enjoy it for yourself too, because just like you were saying, you're sitting back thinking like, oh, look at the hug. And I think about that with Kaylee because she plans our Christmas party at Quality.
I was just thinking about the Christmas
so much, and it's become such a event that I know. And at the day of the Christmas party, I can always see it in her face, and I'm like, calm down. And no one wants to tell a woman to calm down, by the way. I'm like, take a breath, do this. It's fine. Everyone's still having fun. The building's fine, you know?
Yeah. We have to remind ourselves all the time, like nobody knew what we thought might happen didn't happen.
Right.
So, you thought you had this really cool idea and it didn't come to fruition. No one knows.
No one even knew that
and
that was a thing.
They're excited for anything you put in front of them. And 99% of people are so thankful and appreciative, and they make the best of whatever environment they're in, which I did say today. It is very cool to have a women-driven conference because we can make the food a little different. We can make the themes. We can do a lot more stuff. So last night's Blue and White party, not only was Carrier the sponsor, but Blue Bonnets in Texas. And but people really most of the crowd was dressed in some sort of blue or white.
That was so cool.
It was awesome.
We went to dinner afterwards, and I said we look like we could all go take a family picture. Like we could have went in the hayfield.
Yes, absolutely.
So anyways, if you've not been, make sure that you put that on your calendar for next year. And by the time this episode airs, we'll be able to put in the date event.
Yes, we announced that tomorrow.
Yeah, so we'll be able to do that. So, but Crystal, outside of all your volunteering and giving back to our space, because we could talk a lot about that, you own Lemon Seed Marketing.
Yes.
And what is that? Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, so I'm a hashtag trade baby, which is I grew up in this industry. So my grandfather started the business when he retired from the Navy. And then my dad and now my brother owns and operates heating and air conditioning and plumbing company in Rowlett, Texas. If you can't tell from my accent, they do get to hear your accent. So it's not too far off. Yeah. But, I just learned it. And then I decided I'm not going to do this. I'm going to get my degree in marketing. And I went to work for our local Coca-Cola bottling company, doing pricing and marketing. And then my brother came to me and said, hey, I'm getting ready to acquire another business. And I don't want to deal with the marketing and the co-op and the private labeling and all of these things. Like, will you come back and help me? And my family, I'm blessed. We all work really well together. And so I came back in 2014. We grew exponentially, probably 45 or 60%, just each year kind of got a little bit more aggressive year over year. So we're on track to do probably over $30 million this year in a combination of a couple of locations. In 2019, my brother was like, I really think other people need this marketing coach style position, which is a lot of what similar to what Kaylee does, is someone just running, being the quarterback, being the coach of this team. I don't have to know everything about everything, but someone just needs to keep all the players in line.
Yeah.
And so that's what Lemon Seed does is we come in, we make sure you're on brand, and we make sure that brand is reiterated across all your vendor relationships. And so that's how Lemon Seed was kind of born. I cannot take credit for Lemon Seed's name or color. My partner at Lemon Seed, her name's Emily Flanagan. She is a graphic designer by trade. She is phenomenal. She just is fantastic. And so she just really has a vision, and I'm very decisive. So she comes to me and says, we cannot be named Apex. I was called Apex Marketing at the time because I was like, oh, sure, Apex Marketing sounds good. And it was taking your marketing to the highest level. I thought it was so creative. And she comes back with no, we're going to be called Lemon Seed. We're going to wear yellow. And I was like, well, this is better. So we'll do this, But she is, I feel like we make a really great team. But we're just from the trades, helping the trades. We feel like we know how we can help people. And we've grown for 5 years in business.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. I know. I can't believe it. So we have over 25 employees across mostly the state of Texas, one in Nebraska, which is totally random.
Right?
Well, she came from a heating and air conditioning company that sold out and they got rid of their marketing team. And so I swooped those people up because when you're in the industry, you tend to help marketing a lot better. You can know marketing all the way to the cows come home. But at the end of the day, when you can marry knowing marketing and knowing the industry, there's a lot of power in that.
There's a ton of power in that. If you don't understand the industry, I would agree with that 100%. You really have to know how to market to trade-based.
Yeah, when there's people,
customers,
maybe local businesses to us are like, hey, let us try this. And I'm like, one thing we don't mess with is our marketing, and we know it and we're good with it. But you really got to find those relationships that are great for you. And like you said, the coach of the team is like such a key position. Before Kaylee, Quality worked with Lemon Seed. Even Lemon Seed even helped us in the transition of that, right? Yep. Because we knew the vision of what Lemon Seed does is what I was shooting for, hiring Kaylee and had, but it's like, I knew that I wanted it in that.
I'm laughing at you. I remember this conversation. She goes, listen, I've hired this girl. I don't know. We'll see see how it works. Remember, because you were young, right?
She was young. I hired her from college.
Yeah, she was like, she's young. I don't know, Crystal. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is the best decision out there, or one of the best decisions. Maybe Oscar's her best decision, but
Oscar, honey, look at him over there. He's like, yes, in the gallery.
But I mean, I'm a huge proponent of in-house marketers, which feels weird. And we work with a lot of in-house marketers because bless their hearts, in true Texas fashion here, they're on an island by themselves because no one lives that life in the company, maybe the owner. But when you're constantly in charge of like the brand presence that you put out in the community and you live in that community, you are the face of those companies. And so when you've got guys like getting tickets and they're pulled over on the side of the road in a van, you're like, sir, excuse me, or ma'am, or a CSR answers the phone wrong, or you have these little issues, you get a 1-star review, and like you are constantly seeing the good and the bad. And so Lemon Seed, I'm like, listen, I know that life. Like I've been that person, and now that's what Lemon Seed does. And you know, protecting your brand and trusting someone, because y'all aren't related. No. Yeah. So y'all aren't related at all. So like that's a lot of trust. And then I have a heart for the contractor. I'm like, man, like you carry the weight of like all these people depend on you. All these technicians and installers and CSRs and dispatchers, they depend on you guys to run a healthy business. And here you are like trusting someone with your brand and your marketing dollars. And when those rough months hit, you're like, what am I doing with my life? Like, we'll go unpaid so that y'all can be paid.
Yeah.
And then you're also judged like anytime you have any little bit of success. So like, oh, of course she got a new car.
Of course.
And I'm like, sir, if you only understood, like contractors they are the ones with all the risk. You get a paycheck, whether we have good leads or bad leads, right? So at the end of the day, you need to thank a contractor. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Lemon Seed, I'm so passionate about those things that I really like, I'll get emotionally charged up for an in-house marketer or a contractor.
You know, I'm very known for my opinion, and you had no clue. Right? My opinion comes from a place of emotional like, don't get it confused. In the moment when I have my opinion, I'm not as emotional as maybe one would think, but everything comes from emotion that I want to protect. It's not that I'm irrational and whatever. It's that I want to protect us. I want to protect the contractor. I want to protect the marketers. I want to protect the employees. I want to protect the industry, because I mean, everything that you're saying, we're all out here working our asses off. And there's been many times for free.
Oh yeah.
You know, not Kaylee, for the record. Kaylee's always been paid, right? Kaylee, but as the contractor, right? And there's so much unknown that it's like taboo to talk about it. And then when you do, you're the crazy one that's talking about something that we're not supposed to be talking about.
I will see a post on Facebook and I'm like, Cassie Pound is about to comment on this, and it's not going to be good. Because I think you say a lot of times what other people are thinking. And so I'm non-confrontational. I'm like, man, let me scroll right on past this, because it is, you can be, you start blacklisted, or, you know, you're given this name of being opinionated, and women especially, you know, we still have a little stigma in the industry. Like, you just sit down and shut up, you know, and I tell people all the time, I've never needed anybody to give me a seat at a table that I should have been at in the first place.
Right.
You know, and so a lot of times I'm like, your work should show for itself. The success of quality should show for itself. The proof is in the pudding, if you will. Yeah. So, and a lot of times I just think that protection of the brand from a brand person is people they don't value it where it should be valued anyway. So their long-term success or lack thereof is impacted. So, I mean, I interview contractors all the time that want to work with Lemon Seed, and I'm like so thankful for every single form fill lead that we get. And I literally look at every single one of them independently. And one of this, like, I will look at it, and if they're a 20-year-old company that's doing $1 million, I'm like, I've already identified that there's an ownership problem. There's a leadership problem in this company before I have looked at any current advertising strategies, because there's a reason that a 20-year-old company is only at $1 million, especially with the amount of resources now, the amount of coaching, the amount of best practice groups. And so a lot of times I have to go in those situations with eyes wide open, because sir or ma'am, there's an issue here. And then I get in there and their brand is weak. Their core values are weak. Tend to be.
I get passionate about the sale of a silver bullet, because there's not a silver bullet. And like you're saying, so often what happens, and I'm passionate for those smaller contractors, because I think about everything that they've sacrificed and they're trying to do and might not always know what to do. And they get duped because they were sold the silver bullet. And that's where I get passionate and saying, make good relationships, vet your partners. Don't listen to everything you hear on Facebook, because especially if selling you something and only talking about good things, because there's a lot of down and dirty stuff that happens here, right? Like, absolutely. Maybe the podcast we should have a secondary podcast called Trauma of the Trades.
Kaylee, get on it.
Kaylee's like, no, we don't have time for that. But you see what I'm saying? Because there's so much there. And that's where it comes from with me, is I'm not trying to make some dude in California, is life miserable today? I'm just like, be nice to the small guys and don't run after them like that.
Well, I literally, all I say all the time is consistency is the silver bullet, number one.
Amen.
No matter what you do, all marketing will work if it's done consistently and intentionally, and you are good on the operations side. Businesses grow 3 ways, right? They grow when our operations are efficient and maximized. They grow when they are priced competitively and aggressively, and they grow when their marketing is intentional and strategic. Mm-hmm. If you don't have those 3 things, you're going to wobble somewhere. Yeah. And also, competition is not bad. Yeah. When you start moving and others start moving, it's going to get everybody's price more aligned.
Yes.
And if you're not getting kicked in the booty, you're not in the front.
Right. And we've had several of our local competitors say thank you because we were able to raise our price because you guys did and you stood firm in that. Cool. That's awesome. That's like, let's grow together.
Yeah. Well,
that is important.
And healthy competition is important because then you're not going up against your one chuck in a truck over here. You're going up against another company. Your price is the same. I mean, a lot of customers price, especially right now with inflation and, they're like, well,
for a long time, it was a race to the bottom, and we
up until a few years ago. Yeah,
we flipped that. I think we've done a great job at that, but it gets dicey and shaky and concerning.
And these promises that are made, I'm like, there's so many caveats to that. Like, we're going to get you, who wants 100 leads? I'm like, sir, you got people that can't answer the phone. They're going to answer the phone 100 times. Like, that's the first problem.
Where I get all
sir, one day I talked to a contractor and they were like, I just get no leads. So I'm like, okay, let me look at it. So I said, I need 30 days of actually looking at your lead count. So I go in and I'm like, you are literally answering 20%. And he goes, well, my CSRs have to take a break. I said,
all day?
Sir, this is not happening in 15-minute increments. Like, you got all these calls today and we closed for lunch from 11 to 1. And I'm like, okay, that's insane. That's insanity.
Right.
Well, work-life balance, sir. No, sir. They are living their best life from 11 to 1 while you get calls from people that have gone home at lunch and realize that their ear's not working. And then you're like irritated. You're not getting any calls. No, you got the call. They just didn't choose you.
Your marketing team can take you to the plate 100 times, but you not hitting the ball is not their fault.
No, we are not a Band-Aid for bad operations.
Yeah, you have to be able to swing the bat. And I've heard that so many times, but part of that is what I always have so many things to say about is it's kind of like it's been built that way. Like, we're going to get you 100 leads. And so it's like this magic little silver bullet that I'm going to get because this dude promised me that for $29.95 a month or whatever,
or per lead,
and then you're like, what? That's never going to happen. Yes. And because they're not set up for success. So let's just teach all of it.
Do you know what one of my requirements now for Lemon Seed is? Tell me what coaching group you're a part of. And if they say, oh, I'm not after those gurus. Okay. I didn't ask you about a guru. I asked you, are you a part of any best practice group? And odds are, and I will say this one little caveat, Service Titan is the caveat to this. If they're on Service Titan, they do have access to a lot of trainings and things like that. So I'll make that caveat. But for the most part, if they've not invested in themselves at all to help be held accountable for any sort of KPI, then I can't help them because I'll say, well, what's your average service ticket? Well, somewhere. I'm like, you don't know.
You have no clue.
You don't know. Because I'll talk to the next contractor and they'll go $381. And what is it on a maintenance ticket? $175. We need to get that one up.
Or when you say, what is it on a maintenance ticket? And they're like $1,100. And you're like,
no, sir.
Right. And we're not trying to make fun or be rude. We're like, that's what you need, honey.
Yes.
You've got to figure those out.
When you're starting in the wrong place.
Yes.
You ran to second base, sir. Like, you need to go, or ma'am, you need to run back over here. Yeah. And it's sad a little bit because sometimes I feel like some contractors are so mad. Like, I'll talk to them and they're so desperate and they're so, it feels a little emotional, but like, they're very broken sometimes. Yes. Like, their technicians have screwed them over. Their communities have screwed them over. Their manufacturers screwed them over. COVID screwed them over, something.
Well, and then at that point, their mindset's all
tweaked. So then they're literally like so desperate that they're willing to do anything, which then flies in like these little magic things that they've tried. So then they're even more broke financially.
Yeah.
So then I'm like looking at this and I'm like, gosh, your brand is terrible and you need a new brand, but I can get you an affordable brand, but you can't wrap a truck. Like, if you don't have $5,000, they'll tell me, I didn't make payroll last week. And I'm like, okay, so where do you begin? It just takes a whole overhaul from there.
Most businesses' online presence is boring. And by being boring, they're losing out on potential sales and customers. Being interesting and exciting is what draws customers in and gets them to buy from you. But it's hard to be interesting online when you're focused on running your business and taking care of your customers. It doesn't have to be this way. We have the key to unlocking the solution to your problem. Kee Hart Marketing can help take your business from boring to brilliant on social media. We can vouch for them. They run our podcast socials. If you want to have a strong social media presence that allows customers to know, like, and trust you, connect with Kee Hart Marketing at KeeHartMarketing.com.
And again, that's like where my passion comes, because and you've watched this even in a different position that I have. I'm just confrontational and you're not. Those are the people, and I get emotional, and why have I cried on 3 episodes today? Those are the people that I want to protect, because those were the original Cassie and Oscar operators. And I remember how much we would have done anything to make something stick and make something work. And we were selling our soul and giving things up and didn't have any money. It's like when you have childhood trauma, right? And you're trying your entire life to heal that. The trauma I'm trying to heal is the first couple of years of our business that I see in some of these beginners, that they're making the mistakes that if they just start looking at data, they could protect themselves from now. And just start in a better spot. I never said, like, Cassie never said every PE firm in the world is terrible. Never said that. Okay. Do I love them all? No. Am I allowed? Is it factual that not everyone's great? Yes. You know what I mean? Cassie never said that this or whatever, but the general thing is just do your research and let there be research on both sides.
Yeah. And not really just the world of Facebook opinions.
Right.
So like one of my least favorite things in the world is people be like, what do y'all think of? And they're going to label out some company. And I'm like, here we go. Because listen, I'm agnostic. So with Lemon Seed, it doesn't matter. We're not a digital company. So I don't care who your digital partner is. I'm going to tell you what you should be doing. And then you communicate that to your digital partner. I don't care what direct mail company you use. I will give you my opinion. Okay. Because I've seen success and failures. But for everybody that hates this particular digital provider, there's 10 that love them.
Yes.
And it's all a matter of what worked for you, what personal relationships you have. I also watch contractors be in a personal relationship that they just keep their business with these vendors because they like each other.
Oh, God bless America.
And then I look at it and I'm like, listen, I love you, but this is just not what I need. You can be respectful and you can be friends without working together.
100%. And that is very hard. So they're like, for Oscar and I, we can remain friends and not have a business relationship with you anymore. And we had this one customer that he was a vendor for us. No one in our trade space would know. It was a local vendor for something that you guys, anyways, we had let that person go. It was IT, right? We had let that company go and hired a different one. It was a better package. Okay. And later on, our CSRs outbound that guy, and he sends a text back and said, I was fired from your company. Do you still want to talk to me? It like this big long thing. And I'm like, buddy, that was so personal. Like, why was it? It didn't have to be like, just first of all, don't respond. But business was business, and you don't have to choose, but we could have stayed friends.
Well, and listen, Lemon Seed is a vendor, and I have had great friends of mine come and go from Lemon Seed. Does it hurt your feelings? Of course. More than, like, for me personally, it bothers me that I couldn't deliver something that they needed maybe, or I was just hitting a different mark. But sometimes it's because they were able to get their in-house marketer very independent. And that's a success in our book, but it meant a loss of revenue for Lemon Seed. But at the end of the day, you have to look at, like, what is your end goal here? And our end goal is to be a good partner, whether it's for a month, a day, a year, 10 years, 20 years. What partnership do we need? And hopefully, like, I will do my very best to make sure that if we do end, it's going to be on good terms.
Yeah.
And I try to give way more to the contractor than I receive. And we don't always kill it. Like, our teams do stupid stuff all the time. Okay.
You're like, you can't control 25 emotions.
We've all experienced that too.
Well, my brother gave me the best advice, because I was like, I just need to deal with all the clients. And he goes, Crystal, if I was still running every service call, we would never scale. So you cannot talk to every single customer.
Right.
But I want to. But I want to take care of it. And a lot of contractors that are listening right now, they want to still be involved in every install. They want to still be involved in every service call, or they want to run the service department. And the art of delegation is a skill that you really have to get past yourself to be good at it.
This podcast has gone a totally different direction than our plan was, but I love it.
Community was
no, we're talking about community. We'll have to talk about that on a different day. But I have to tell you, Jeff Stagnoli is a profound coach from Nexstar that made a huge impact on quality. And I tell the story he told me once, and I will say it's a story that stuck with me forever. And either it's his story or he heard it from someone else, or I don't know. I'm going to say it was his story. Watch him be like, that was actually a story I heard. Anyways, but he was at Universal Studios. His son was going to go and be a part of the Harry Potter thing. And he's watching his son from the sidelines. And he's 6 years old, and his son can't put on his cloak or the coat thing that's going to be for this Harry Potter thing, right? And he's watching him, and he's like, just put on the freaking coat. And he's like, he sees his kid can't put on the coat, right? And he's like, I realized in that moment that I have been putting his coat on for him, and he can't do that because I've done it for him. And he was like, he said, Cassie, are you getting in the way of your team? And I wanted to be like, piss off.
Yeah.
Right. And I said, maybe. Right. The biggest growth that ever happened was whenever, as an owner, I quit trying to steer everything and just started empowering our managers.
Yep.
And then because we couldn't scale, if I was trying to make sure every experience was this, yes, we want every experience to be great, but we can teach our team to be great.
Yes.
And your brother's not wrong. Like, you can't do it.
Yeah.
I also really like to say all the time, like, if I could just stick to heat and air and plumbing and electric and not people, we'd be great.
Yeah. The people side of the business is a challenge because again, back to the branding side of things, like your people are your brand. And so like if your people are disgruntled and they're driving dirty trucks and trash falls out and they are cussing in attics so that the homeowner can hear them, or, they're leaving trash everywhere. Like, it reflects so negatively. So you have to have this like people advocate on your team, whether that's your community marketer, whether that's an HR person, but someone that is literally cultivating that team all the time because it will negatively impact your brand.
That's something like Kaylee does at Quality every day. I will hear her outside my office all the time say, I need you to change your pants and put on cleaner pants. That shirt has to get retired. We're throwing that away. This is that. Yeah. She's like, and we call her the chief happiness officer, and she says it with a really pretty smile. And she's just like, your pants are terrible. Please don't wear those again. But she's responsible for all of the branding that she's putting out, all of the things that she's doing. She knows how crucial it is, all of those pieces.
Yes.
You know, and so she takes that to her core, and it all matters.
Well, and statistically, it's said over and over again, the more solidified that brand is in your market. Remember, you don't have to own the United States of America. Most of you are trying to own a 20-mile area.
Yeah.
Okay. Once you can be very solid there, every other advertising that you do will drastically improve. So you're mad at your digital company, your paid ads company. First of all, many of you have probably traded companies so much that Google don't know who you are. Okay. You're all over the place. Or you feel like you're spending all this money and you're in a minor metro market spending $1,500 a month on paid ads and you are mad that it's not performing. So my encouragement is digital vendors need to tell you the truth. $1,500 is better off left in your pocket than it is spending here.
Yep.
But they don't tell you that. And a lot of times they take your money knowing it's not going to have great performance. And then the other side of that is some of you like have to be a little bit more risky. So if you've invested all this time in your brand, now is the time to show it off because people are going to be like, oh, I love them. I forgot or whatever. And they see your name, it comes up on the digital side and you know that the customer experience is going to match the brand impressions that they've gotten. That's when you start seeing success. But many people do it backwards and they start at the very bottom of, let me just launch PPC. Yeah. People don't freaking know who you are.
Right. And then your budget is so small. I saw this guy in one of the groups and I loved his thread because he was really receptive to the feedback. But he said basically like he had spent the equivalent, I think, of like $300 a month on radio. And I'm like,
sir,
they stole your money.
Yes.
That was never going to do anything for you ever. $300 a month in radio, right? Because you need to add at least like 5 more digits to that, monthly. Because everyone else who is on radio is drowning you out and you're $300. So that
frequency and consistency are what makes the difference on mass media. Yeah.
And that money, that local, radio station just hit a quota for themselves and got your $300 a month, but it was never going to do anything for you. But you were expecting it to because they sold you this big dream.
Yep.
And when you really need to just back up and start with the free things.
Yeah.
And then build from there and don't add something else. Like we've been in business for 10 years and we just added radio, but to add radio, we went in
guns
with
blazing.
a 5-digit budget, I'm like a big budget, a big budget. Like I remember signing the contract with my hand, like, ooh, like huge contract, but we had to do that.
You have to own the vertical that you want to own. So, but again, you did the foundational work first, right? So I remember the billboards, which I'm like, dang, freaking good idea. Like, I'm like, it's a great idea. And the best ideas are like, that's a good idea. How can I modify that? Or how can I work on that? So we did Sailor Max Celebrates. Like I straight up took it and was like, how can we incorporate this? Was such a good idea. And I knew we already, McWilliams, my family's company, I knew we already had all these billboards. I'm like, how can we fix this? This was a great idea. And you just got to give credit where credit's due. We're not competitors.
Right.
And so you're probably like, take it. It's a great idea. Really understanding that you probably are diversifying your money because you want to do everything. So your money is so thin in all of these platforms that you're not getting any consistency or frequency. So it's so diluted. It doesn't have to leave an impact.
So then you're still spending a lot of money, but you're not getting getting any traction.
It's very diluted versus you could take, if you had $20,000 a month and you took that whole, let's say you gave 50% of that to digital and you have this other 50%, you're much better off giving that one chunk of change to one vertical and owning that, and then just start diversifying from there. But she's right. Like, I just look all the time and I'm like, I spend a lot of money on radio, like $500 a month. And I'm like, sir, the time we've been on the phone, I spent $500. So you know, and again, you know, as you grow, also less than $1 million, unless you've got some money in your pocket that you know you're going to invest, which I have a few of those. These newcomers that got, you know, family money or whatever, they have the money to do a 14% spend. My goal is to do $2 million in my first year, and I've got $300,000 to do it. You have more money. But those of you that are trying to like build it up naturally and organically, you can't diversify yet. You don't have enough spend in your market. So definitely just own and dominate certain things. The easiest thing to do, if you have no money, own and dominate social media. Get out of your own way and just start posting. It is free. So if you want to, Crystal, what could I do if I'm just starting out? Social media is free. Literally. And go to GoDaddy and get a basic landing page up that has your name and a phone number and simple contact information, and literally just start there at $99 a year. You know, start there. But most people won't get out of their own way, or they're not aggressive enough to do their own marketing.
Yeah, you've got it so many times. It's so accurate. And, you know, we've said multiple times about, you know, people in our own market trying to copy and paste. And I'm like, well, I feel sad because for them specifically, because you can't, with the difference in size, you can't do every piece that we're doing to the level that we are right now. Right. And that's just when I'm talking about in our market. Right. Yeah. But that's what that's that like magic silver bullet that everyone sees on Facebook groups. And they're like, well, you've got to do this and this and this and this, because that's what I saw so-and-so did. But all of those like started leading up. I remember whenever we started PPC and I was like, we're going to spend, wait for it, $9,000 a month. And Oscar's like, oh, that's a lot of money, you know? And then this year we had months that was like
$40,000,
like $65,000. Like we spend a lot there, but do we know exactly how many customers we got from that? Did we track our return? Is that our spend every month? No. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like be for real. We are very intentional. Okay. But
you also are looking at it. Let's start with that.
Oh,
like and you don't look at it. You don't look at what's happening in October and November. That's another thing. Like people will be like, I can tell you right now if I'm on trend. Like, are you going to hit numbers this month? And it's, so what is it, October 22nd? You going to hit your numbers? You're going to be like, well, you probably can have the, if we do this conversation. I have contractors like, well, I'll tell you on November 2nd. Like, no, absolutely. So it's too late in November to make a difference in October.
You have to know every single day where you're pacing.
Where you're pacing. We have that conversation multiple times a day, whether like us three, me, Heather, and Kaylee and Oscar are not in the building this week. All four of us are actively working in quality all day today. We are not dismissed. Like, and because we know our jobs, our roles, and what we need to help the team to succeed.
Well, what managed gets, what's measured gets managed, what's managed gets measured. And so, there's a lot. Marketing is a big overtaking, it's a big thing to handle. But at the end of the day, I just encourage contractors here, like, you have a lot more capability than you give yourself credit for. Don't be so down in the trenches that you become literally jaded and broken. Like, just saddle up a little bit and get hard in the things that you can do and just go hard at those things. And then it will come if you get operationally excellent. So whether it's Nexstar or Service Nation or, whoever, BDR, all those great coaches, Go Time Success Group, all these great coaches, get in the mix with those people and work on that, then add marketing. Yeah. Because I'll tell you right now, it will make a difference if your operations are managed and under control, and then just really just go to town. Don't be scared.
We've got to wrap up because we have all kinds of things to do. But this reminds me of in 2019, we were still traveling and we went to several House Call Pro events back when we used House Call Pro. Yeah. And I used to always say, we don't market. We have never had to. In 2019, business is in 2014. I would say, they'd say, what's your marketing spend? We didn't have one. Go back and look at our books. We didn't have a marketing spend because everything that we did was free through social media, through the community, through the avenues that didn't cost any money. Right now, to continue to scale where we needed to go, we had to start putting a budget
what
behind
got you here won't get you there.
100%. But you can't just throw, money doesn't just buy it.
No.
If you don't have, and that, people, I'll jump into this market and I've got all this money to spend. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't because you haven't built trust in the market yet.
No, people don't know who you are.
Yeah.
If you're going to bust into a new market spending 14%, it better be on branding.
Yep. And they are going to still be skeptical because you don't, just like when we see roofing companies respectfully that like just come into the town after a storm.
Because y'all live in a tornado zone.
Yes. Right. That is like in our area, that is the biggest red flag, because they're like, where have you been?
Yeah.
Right. You're
a storm chaser.
You're not. Yes, you're a storm chaser. You are not the one that's been sponsoring the Little League.
No,
they remember those things.
Yes,
and don't think maybe because you're in a big market, people don't remember that because they do.
Absolutely.
Well, and we just talked about building trust. Like you have to associate trust with your brand and having that foundation started. And I know a lot of small businesses where I'm located do a lot of the free social media.
You need to support those people,
and that is how they're constantly supporting each other. And that's how they've grown their businesses with very little marketing spend, so that they can establish that reputation in
we
had
20 mile
giving.
We had a local,
we're talking about
not too far from us, about 2 hours away. One of those storm chasing roofing companies came in, and all of the roofing companies of that area banded together, and it was like one of the most powerful things I've ever seen in my life. But they're like, my name is Johnny, and I've lived in this town for 15 years, and my business has been here, and I'm Tom, and blah blah blah. And they just went over and over and over, and you can trust us, and you've seen us. And they stood back up against those people that just showed up, right?
That's
so that's
pretty
why
powerful.
I say your money doesn't always do anything. They're looking to know who you are.
Well, and it's also, I know we got to wrap up. It's also about the power behind long-term branding strategy. So you sponsor the Little League team. It isn't like they're going to go home and be like, you know what, let me call Cassie and ask her to order buy a new system. You've done it for so long that people associate, to your point, they associate your brand with reliability and community and support. And so those are long-term, those are marathon strategies. Branding is it's the long run, right? Sprints are PPC and direct mail. But if you're not doing any marathon training for your brand, eventually someone can come in and easily dominate.
Yep.
Because you're running too quick to the easy
trying
stuff.
to get too,
Yeah.
You're running too fast.
Take care of your brands.
Yes. Take care of your brand. We could have chatted for the rest of the day, I think. We were just going at it with those. It's just, that's the passion that comes out of me of those things and helping everyone succeed.
Yeah.
I really, truly want everyone, even in our market, I comment about that here and there. Like, I want everyone to have their place. There's enough for all of us.
There isn't. I've said that for years.
There's enough for all of us.
There's plenty of work for everybody.
Yep.
The good contractors.
For sure.
The bad ones will fizzle out
on their own.
Yeah.
And they'll be,
they'll take themselves out.
They'll take themselves out because the good ones will want to continue to grow, will want to continue to maintain their branding.
Wise counsel.
Seek wise counsel.
In the name of the Lord, they'll seek wise counsel.
Yep.
And then, they continue to rise to the top, and the other ones
fizzle out
every time. Well, girl, thank you so much for being on the show. We'll have to set up another session with you, another counseling session. We'll a little bit of it every time, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We hope to catch you soon, and we'll see you definitely for sure at the next show.
I'm sure. Yeah. Thanks.
This has been Power Women of the Trades. Like what you hear so far? Leave us a review on Apple, and make sure to listen to our other episodes wherever you enjoy listening to your podcasts. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.